I think it's fair to say that Jim Ratcliffe has been a divisive part owner of Manchester United since he walked in the door. And that's before what he said about immigration, about colonisation. His words, not mine. Now, I'm going to say a few things on this, and I'm going to try and keep this strictly from the perspective of Manchester United, which is what I think this affects and what annoys me about it. But I can't ignore what he said. Now, first thing I want to say here, and it's something I actually agree with, keeping politics out of sport, yeah. Well, you can't when you've got your part owner coming out and bringing Manchester United up as an example when speaking about Nigel Farage being intelligent. Yeah. Ratcliffe himself involved United into this discussion, which is driven clearly politically and for the benefit of Ineos more than anything else. If you've not seen what he has said, he said this: can't have an economy with 9 million people on benefits and huge levels of immigrants coming in. I mean, the UK has been colonised. And that's such a powerful rhetoric and word to use in this situation when speaking about immigration. The UK has been colonised by immigrants, really, hasn't it? I mean, the population of the UK was 58 million in 2020. Now it's 70 million. That's 12 million people. Well, you can do maths. Well done, Jim. Well, you can't actually get the facts out. For him to be, look, you can see the actual population data of the UK here. When was the population of the UK 58 million? In 2020? No. In 1995. That's a quarter of a century earlier than he's suggesting. But numbers don't really matter when you have a rhetoric that you want to push. And people will now take that as gospel and take it through as fact. And when somebody's numbers are that far wrong, to me, it really indicates that kind of the truth doesn't matter to them. They just want to push their rhetoric. And Jim Ratcliffe is doing this as the owner of Ineos, not as the owner of Manchester United. He wants some political change. He probably thinks Nigel Farage is the best person to bring that change in. So he's going to swing over and support him because that will probably be best for Ineos. And after all the backlash, Jim Ratcliffe has actually come out and released this statement here. Not really backtracking on anything he said, trying to sort of take the tone down away from colonisation, but they were your words. I don't really think this statement changes much. It certainly isn't in backtracking from what he said. But this is the statement. Is that what's best for Manchester United? Is hearing the owner of our club say that the UK has been colonised by immigrants, is that going to help Manchester United? Now, Andy Mitten is always a voice that I listen to when it comes to Manchester United. He is a custodian of this football club. Running United, we stand for as long as he has, and I just have a lot of respect for what he has to say. And if you want to go and read his view on what Ratcliffe said, I'll drop the link here. But Ratcliffe is a custodian of Manchester United. And his words now do matter significantly more than they ever did, just being the owner of Ineos, because he now represents the football club. And Andy Burnham, with this statement here, Andy Burnham, who, by the way, Jim Ratcliffe has been working closely with because United wants to try and get some government funding for part of the Trafford regeneration project, and Andy Burnham has been a big supporter and vocal supporter of that. I particularly like what he wrote at the bottom of his statement here. If any criticism is needed, it should be directed towards those who have offered little contribution to our life here and have instead spent years siphoning wealth out of one of our proudest institutions. Shout that from the rooftops, Andy. But it's in particular, it's Andy's words there at the top saying, calling for curbs on levels of immigration is one thing. Portraying those who come here as a hostile invading force, which is what the fact that he's calling it colonisation, effectively taken over. That's what colonising is, and let's not speak about the UK history. This is the part owner of our football club, of Manchester United. We are one of the most diverse clubs in the world. We are one of the most global clubs in the world. It doesn't matter where you're from. We did a live show ahead of the West Ham game, and I did a word cloud in there, and I asked, where are you watching from? The list all around the world of different places and different time zones that all United fans were tuning in to watch the football club that we all love. And Jim Ratcliffe's coming out here and saying this. That's extremely divisive rhetoric, geared towards maybe helping Ineos and pushing something for them, but not helping Manchester United, not helping Michael Carrick. What, do I think it's going to impact the dressing room? I hope not. But they'll all be having conversations now behind the scenes about how much of a dick Ratcliffe is. Maybe not to his face, probably definitely not to his face because he's the owner of the football club. But it doesn't make Carrick's job any easier. It doesn't make uniting a fan base any easier. Like Ratcliffe here speaking about how unpopular he's been, and I know that quite a few of the cuts and the changes that have had to happen, needed to happen because of years of neglect by the same people that Andy Burnham was speaking about there, the Glazers, and how they run our football club. But to sort of kind of suggest that we're now starting to see some evidence that the club is heading in the right direction, like, mate, we are 5 games into an interim manager's stint, and Carrick's done incredibly well. But we've got an interim manager because we've sacked a manager mid-season because you've made an incorrect decision, and you've now sacked 2 managers in the space of 2.5 years mid-season. I don't think that's a case of something to brag about and something to shout about. Would Jim Ratcliffe be speaking like this had we, I don't know, not won our 4 games in a row and drawn against West Ham? Probably not. It's just Jim Ratcliffe's words as the owner of Ineos, I'm sure they carry power. He's a billionaire. But Jim Ratcliffe's words as a part owner of Manchester United carry so much more weight. And the fact that he's brought Manchester United into a conversation which didn't need to be brought into it, and kind of used that as justification for something that he thinks needs to be applied elsewhere. And to use such sort of powerful language as colonisation. This fan base is already divided. That just causes an even bigger rift. And it sort of enables conversations and enables people like Jim Ratcliffe saying, well, yeah, we'll jump on board with it. And it's divisive, it's political, and none of it is geared towards helping Manchester United. It's geared towards helping personal interests of the part owner of our football club.